Hey everybody, Vince Dowd, the founder of Authentic Elevation, where we help entrepreneurs, executives, and leaders tap into the inner dimensions so that they can actually have the external abundance they've looked for based on the internal projections. Listen, have you ever thought that your life is defined by the stories that you tell yourself? And if you think about it, most of our life we're telling ourselves stories. From the time we've been little kids until now, anytime something happens externally to our lives, an event, a person, a place, or a thing causes a reaction in us, and we'll end up, oftentimes, creating a story based on the feelings that we had. And typically these stories are really based on our past experiences. So I want to share with you a model that I've been working on that can really transform your life. It's called the Story Sniper. And I want to share it with you because I think it will really make a difference in the quality of your life moving to a higher level and elevating. So here's the way it works. I'm going to draw what I call a scope. So the Story Sniper is really about scoping out that story that we tell and then looking for different types of truth to figure out what's more true and what is the desired story you're looking for. So let me show you. If you will, picture a circle, and this is going to be the scope. So the first point on the scope would be the top section. I would say that your view will be right here in the middle. So when you have something happen in your life, whether it's a financial problem, a relationship problem, a health issue, maybe it's a political issue, as we see today, people are being so triggered. In fact, talking about triggers, let's talk about that. The event that happens is actually a trigger event. And again, I say that the event could be a person, a place, or a thing. Things outside of ourselves are acting as triggers. Now here's one thing you've got to understand, that what triggers us is usually not the other person or the thing. What's really true is each of us has inside of our lives a seed that has been there for a long time, and when an event comes along, it's called a weather pattern like rain, and it will start to cause that seed that's within us to take root. And then when we see that weed coming up, that weed itself, then we'll look at the weather pattern, which would be the trigger, the person, the place, or the thing, and we'll blame them, and we'll have a reaction toward them. And the key is, this trigger is allowing us to see ourselves if we investigate it. So the first thing we have is we have the trigger occur, and then what starts to happen from that point is we actually end up creating a story around that trigger. And a lot of times it's a victim story, or it's very, very illusionary. It's part true, but not so much all true. So I'm going to encourage you, when you have something happen and you have that story come up, I want you to investigate the story for more truth. Are you finding that there's truth in the story? Because a lot of times what we're doing is we're creating the story and we're filling in most of the gaps with our own imagination based on the past filters from past scars or past events. So what I'm going to encourage you to do then on the Story Sniper is we're going to move to the second part over here. Now this is where we take the story that we've talked about in our head, and we're going to go ahead and switch that up a little bit. I call it the opposite. Okay, so the opposite, actually I should say flip it. Not opposite, we're going to flip it. And what I mean by that is, let's just use an example that I used recently in my tool. Let's just take an example where Greg, a friend of mine, let's say, invited a bunch of our mutual friends to his birthday party and did not invite me. Now, if I got mad at that and I called Greg a bunch of names in my head and I create a story about Greg and why he didn't invite me and how much I've done for him and how dare he do this, I'm creating this whole story that Greg is an idiot. I can't believe that Greg has done this. He's a loser and a gold digger, and all he does is want to come and use me when he sees fit for his own benefit. So if I create this big story, which is what happens a lot in life, what I want to do is, that is the trigger event, Greg not inviting me. I create the story. I investigate, is that really true? So I want to write this down. Then I'll look at the fact that, let me switch this around. Instead of saying Greg is a gold digger, Greg is an idiot, and Greg doesn't care about people, I'm going to flip it and put my name in the same story. So I just flip and I use my name as if I were Greg. So Vince is an idiot, Vince is a gold digger, and Vince doesn't care about Greg. So the reason we're doing this is to get the dualistic point of view. We have one point of view, but we're not taking the other point. So we're going to flip that and start to look at it by flipping the script and see if it's more true if we say it and feel it in the way that it's us that feels these things versus Greg. Because we don't know what Greg feels, but we're making that up. So when we put ourselves there, maybe we'll find more truth in that. I don't know, but I encourage you to try it. Then what happens is the bottom part, this is where we call the opposite. And what we do here is we just basically change the verb. So if I said, Greg doesn't give a shit about me, Greg is a two-faced bastard, and I'm using these words because you've got to get it out. You've got to express yourself authentically, otherwise you block emotions. What I would do then is use the opposite verb. Instead of saying Greg does not care about me, I would say Greg does care about me. And instead of saying Greg is a gold digger, I would say Greg is not a gold digger. So I'm actually doing the opposite on the negative or the positive, so I can flip the story from me saying all these things negative about Greg to saying positive things about Greg to see if that feels more true. So once I've investigated story number one, and again, remember, you want to investigate, and this is how we start to find more truth. Investigation. I investigate the first story I tell, I write it down, I flip the script and I look at the story from the angle that it's me, not Greg in the story. Then I go below and I want to look at the opposite verb, the opposite to whatever I'm saying, so that I can make it a positive for Greg, because I don't really know what's going on in his head or why he didn't invite me. And then the final part of the scope would be called the desire. And this is where what desire do we want in the story? I mean, at the end of the day, what we're looking for is more truth, more elevation. And what we want is we want a story that actually is more true, but also moves us toward our objective. And that's what this will do. The Story Sniper allows you to stop looking at the world through dualistic eyes and creating most of your life in fantasy and illusion from the past, and start to look at perhaps more truth from different perspectives so that you can make a clearer, more desired story that will impact your life. And at the end of the game, we have to look at the fact that this might be a very good thing that happened, and our reaction to it is causing a sickness, a disease, and we don't need to go there. So the Story Sniper is just one tool in my arsenal that I've created, along with the accept the anger tool and along with the extractor factor tool. And these tools, along with some others, are helping my clients to really dive deep into their internal dimensions, to bring out the anger, the frustration, and to start to see their lives in more truth so they can elevate, actually creating much better relationships from the inside out, creating more wealth, more happiness, more health from the inside out. That's what authentic elevation is about. Anyway, let me know what you think about this. Go below, let me know if you like it, give it a like, give it a big thumbs up, share it, hit the bell if you're watching me on YouTube to be notified of my next video. And if you're watching this on the newsletter, I hope you enjoy it. Feel free to hit reply and let me know what you think. Have a beautiful day. And again, I look forward to seeing you on the next video.